Hello, I'm going to start the lecture. Today we have to discuss qualitative data analysis. So I will share the screen. I hope that you all can hear me. Uh, the title is, of course, chapter 24, which has been uploaded to the LMS, and also you will get the slide presentation as well and the chapter information. So here we are discussing qualitative data analysis. So first of all, we will look at the meaning of qualitative data analysis. Qualitative data analysis means when you analyze the data, of course, you are trying to assign meaning to the data. So thereby, qualitative analysis means breaking data into meaningful parts. That is based on Savin, Baden, and Major 2013. They have explained that breaking data into meaningful parts really a kind of data analysis. Then Merriam 2009, it says that making sense of data. So you are getting the meaning of data. And also the Hatch 2002 is really trying to define data analysis as systematic search for meaning. When you look at all these three different way of different perspective of looking at data, you will realize that you will realize that you know data analysis is really a kind of interpretation. You are trying to give meaning, you are trying to interpret data, you are trying to use data to develop knowledge. So thereby qualitative data analysis is important to conduct a qualitative approach research. Then the slide number two, of course, is about you know qualitative data analysis. The what we are going to do here, we will be discussing the general strategies, analytic induction, and grounded theory. Under these two theories, we will be discussing the coding steps and considerations and problems. Of course, I think last week you can remember we discussed uh, content analysis. You can use the content analysis for quantitative and also qualitative. So quantitative and qualitative analysis, uh, the both content analysis is applicable for both. Then I think you can remember we discussed the discourse analysis, a kind of way of reading. A discourse analysis is applicable for qualitative data analysis. That of course you use the language discourse analysis. Today what we are going to do is we are just trying to discuss basic or the general strategies of analytic induction and grounded theory. So when it comes to analytic induction, uh, it's a rigorous search for universal explanations of phenomena. Phenomena means maybe you are studying the microfinance in a rural village. You may study the accounting practices of a farmer. You may study the balance scorecard at a public quarter company. You may study the accrual based accounting. You may study the ABC costing. You may study the sustainable reporting or integrated reporting or working capital management or taxation policies or barriers or challenges in a particular phenomena when try to implement. So what are the challenges you face when try to implement new accounting standards, IFRS in Sri Lanka? So something like that. Phenomena means the particular concept or particular area you are going, particular discourse you are going to study is called the phenomena. So thereby analytic induction, what you have to do is basically there are 5 steps. So you have the rough research question, hypothetical explanation. Hypothetical explanation is not the hypothesis. Hypothetical explanations, that is basically maybe relation or connection between or among different concepts, categories. Then the data collections. So example, you may relate politics into budgeting. So thereby hypothetical explanations, you may conclude that you may have a question, how participatory budgeting really is being used to get the political objectives, to get the power and domination. So thereby it's a hypothetical explanations. You are just talking about participatory budgeting and the power and the politics. So thereby these two concepts, hypothetical explanations. Then the data collection, of course, data collections method. You may look at the documents, you may look at the videos, you may look at different you know photographs, published data, newspaper article. In addition to, you may have the interviews. Yeah, once you have the interviews, you have to transcribe those interviews. Then data collection, there are multiple way of collecting data. Then if any deviation case found, redefine and reformulate hypothesis and continue until all the cases fit hypothesis. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is that analytic induction, we basically, you may heard about pilot study. I can remember when I'm really supervising our students, we do this analytic inductions. Each week we are asking students to make their presentations, and they are of course telling some stories. They're telling their ideas, research ideas. Then we are asking, what is your research objective? Then they will say, our research objective is this. So what kind of data you collect? So have you studied the annual reports? Have you talked to the people in the village? Have you observed certain activities taken place in village? Have you visited the particular place? Have you participated in the budgetary committee? So they might say, okay, yes, I participated in one budgeting committee. I was there. I observe what they are doing, and this is how they do. Then I think one research one student is undertaking is paddy cultivation, the accounting practices of paddy cultivation farmers in a rural village Hambantota area. Now he has visited lot of he has talked to the villagemen, farmers, the committees, Govi Samiti, then the officers from divisional secretarials. Now, so he is telling these are the informations, these are the answers I got from by interviewing these people and by participating. Then we look at his or her objectives or the research questions. Then what we'll tell her is that, okay, when you look at this data set, your objective is not matching, your objective is not cannot be achieved. So thereby, shall we arrange, shall we redesign, shall we change the objective of your research? Then according to the preliminary data he or she has gathered, what we do is we modify, maybe radically modified, maybe as I told you, drastically, or minor modifications. It depends on the data. So thereby, what we hear, analytic induction is basically, you have the research idea, research gap, research question, you collect the data, and when the data is not matching with your what do you call this explanations, then again you reformulate your hypothesis or reformulate your research questions. Then again you collect data until you really satisfied with the data in relation to your research questions. So when you continue this again and again. Finally, you will complete the research. But what I explain you the initial stage our experience. So likewise, we will continue. So thereby, the weakness of this analytic induction is time consuming. It's take time. Now the diagram, of course, very simple. You have the research questions, hypothetical explanations. Examination of cases means you are collecting data. You examine the cases. When you examine the data, you see that deviate case not confirming hypothetical explanations. So your data is not helping you to explain your research gap. Your data is not really contributing to understand the phenomena you are going to study. So thereby, what you do is you reformulate hypothesis again, examine the case. So you may collect data. So if there is no deviant case, hypothesis confirmed. So what happen is end of the data collections, and you can write, you can do your writing part and other aspect of your research. So that is the analytic induction. Analytic induction is basically you start with a question and you develop the explanations, you collect data and see whether the data is really helping you to understand or explain your research gap. If not, again, what happens is you go back and you change your what you call hypothetical explanations. Okay, that is about analytic induction. Then we move on to the grounded theory. Meaning grounded theory means your theory is grounded on data. That is the idea. So what you do is you ignore any theory. You are going to the field with a blank mind. You don't have any theory in your mind. But this is little bit advanced methodology in qualitative research, grounded theory. This theory was developed in 1967 in medical sociology. They studied death and illness by using this theory. So what they by studying the death pattern and the illness pattern and all that, they developed the grounded theory in 1967. But later on, different researchers, academics, really contributed to develop this grounded theory. Theory is derived from the data. That is the important. You believe not on abstract concepts or abstract theories. You ignore this, that you believe what is happening in ground. So based on that happening, based on that behavior, activities, or the data you derive from the activities, you trying to analyze by you gather the data and you analyze. That is called grounded theory. So theory is derived from the data which are systematically gathered. You are gathering in a systematic way. For example, you may have interview. If you are having interview, you have to tape record it, you have to transcribe it, you have to ensure that you have transcribed what they have said as it is. So likewise, systematic gathering is important, and also analyze. And grounded theory is not like in quantitative theory, quantitative study. Once in quantitative study, once you collect data, you may distribute a questionnaire and you collect data. Once you collect data, next step is analysis. So without completing data collection, you can't do the analysis part. That is the quantitative model. But when you look at the grounded theory in qualitative, it's an iterative process. What do you mean by iterative process? Iterative process means it's continuously, while collecting data, you analyze. While collecting data, you analyze and theory building. So all these three activities are happening, repetitive interplay. Not data collection, then analysis, then theory build. No, that's not. Everything going together. That is called iterative process. It's a continuous process of building theory. Then the development is grounded theory. Glaser, of course, Glaser is one. Glaser is a little bit radical. Glaser is basically believe on experiences when developing the grounded theory, and Strauss is basically data plus some formal theories. He just combine data and little bit theory, existing theory. But Glaser is little bit radical, and he is always focused on experience of people and behavior of people. So I'm not going to discuss what Glaser and what Strauss really explain or the describe. So if you need further study, you have to read these Glaser and Strauss. But Straussian model more prescriptive than the Glaser one. Term used loosely by researchers today. Then, of course, you have the tools and outcome. May I? Can you please stop? Can you mute your mic, please? Okay. Anyway, in grounded theory, there are two things. You may use tools and outcomes. Outcome is the theory, of course. But to develop this outcome, you may use different tools in grounded theory. Tools of grounded theory: theoretical sampling, coding, theoretical saturation, and constant comparison. Those are the tools. Like a carpenter, carpenter has its his tool set. Maybe a professional accountant will have his tool set, like accounting standards, auditing standards, maybe software package. Those are his tools, principles. Likewise, when you look at the grounded theory, it has its own tools to analyze data, to gather data, to interpret data, to develop theories. Grounded theory has its own tools. There are basically 4 tools: theoretical sampling, coding, theoretical saturations, and constant comparison. Word is constant comparison. Theoretical sampling. What is theoretical sampling? Theoretical sampling, I think you may discuss different type of sampling in quantitative research. Maybe random sampling, non-random, but stratified sampling. But in qualitative research, we may use 3 type of sampling basically. Convenience sampling. Convenience sampling means the sample which is convenience for us, we will select to interview the people, those who who are having, if you're having very close relationship with people, we will select those people to interview. That's of course convenient sampling. And also purposeful sampling. So we basically purposefully select the sample. For example, for my PhD, I selected my research site for Sri Lanka Water Board. Sri Lanka Water Board. Now we are conducting a research at Inland Revenue. All those are purposeful sampling. And purposeful sampling and convenient sampling, of course, going together. So thereby, whatever the sampling techniques what we discuss, applicable before collecting data, you decide from the population what part of respondents you will be selected, how you select, what is the methodology of selections. Those are types of sampling. But theoretical sampling is little bit different. Theoretical sampling is really you start the theoretical sampling when you started to collect data. Hello, can you switch off? Can you mute your mic, please? 17417. Suren, can you please mute your mic, please? Suren, Dahata Harsi Dahata Kauda, Suren, I request you to mute your mic, please. Any issue? Mute. I can't mute it, but can you mute your mic? Suren, are you with us? Okay. I'm sorry. So what I was discussing with you is theoretical sampling. Theoretical sampling is basically not before data collection. I'll take one example just to explain what is theoretical sampling. Suppose you conduct an interview, but these are applicable for only qualitative research, what I'm discussing today. Theoretical sampling. Suppose I am going to study the challenges or the unintended consequences of implementing new IT system in inland revenue. So I just wanted to find out what happened really there when design and implementing the IT system. What was really happened? Is it what is happening? What we described in textbooks? It is it what is happening there? What is described by the theories? So I just want to study what is the real activity, real practice, real problem, real issue there, not described in the theory. Is it accordance with the theory, or it is different? So suppose I went there, I interview people, I talk to people, I live with them, and I really ask so many questions from them. So likewise, so now suppose I just interview 6 people. So when I interview 6 people, I feel that they don't have sufficient knowledge about the IT system. They don't really engage in this IT project. They are not interested in these IT projects. Those employees, 2 employees, very recently came to the head office, and another 2 employees really new recruitment. Likewise, if I feel that these 6 people or the interviewees are not really helping me to answer my research questions, and the quality of the data they are providing to me is not enough to study, to explain my research question, then what I will do is, oh, I think that 2 years, very recent employee is not enough. I should select 1 or 2, 3 from really those who involved directly with these projects. Maybe 1 or 2 people from IT projects, uh, maybe from the core team, maybe the top level commissioner level people. Then of course, then I will realize, yes, commissioners are really providing more information, relevant information for my research. Then what I will do is, I will increase the commissioner category, senior people, those who involve with these direct projects more and more. That's called theoretical sampling. Theoretical sampling means that you are expanding the sample so as to get more qualitative data. That is the meaning of theoretical sampling. But to do the theoretical sampling, you have to do a sampling, maybe purposeful sampling, maybe convenient sampling. When you talk to people, you realize that you are not talking to the relevant people. Or maybe out of these 6, one may be one senior commissioner, and senior commissioner's answers are very attractive and very relevant for my research question. So I decide more people to interview from senior commissioner level or the top level. Maybe in certain cases, retired employee, those who, that this particular premise system started in 2013, now 2021. So by this time, I think some employees have left at that, the people who play a critical role at that time may have left the organization, retired. So I should find out retired employees who really involved with this project. I should talk to them. Of course, we talked to three people, three giant we interviewed in respect of this Ramis, those who retire. So thereby, that's called theoretical sampling. Then the coding means, of course, you will look at, you are just trying to give praises. You are trying to label. Uh, you label whatever the data available for you. That's the coding. Now, of course, to do the coding, you should have a written document, you have to remember. So thereby coding is applicable only for, I would say, the written documents. If you interview people, you have to transcribe. Transcript is essential. You may quote the newspaper article. You may quote the annual reports, a particular chapter, particular section of annual report. You can you any documents you can do the coding. So thereby coding means you are just trying to identify the pattern and you are just try to categorize. For example, you may see that when you write a paragraph, you give the heading for the paragraph. That's really coding. But in research, coding is little bit complex, little bit detailed. So we just try to assign meaning for 5 or 3 sentences and we label it as one particular phrase or sentence. And this coding may help us to, theory may help, but under grounded theory you don't use the theory. But when you do some next analysis, thematic analysis, when you do the coding, you may get certain principles, certain concepts from theory as well. Anyway, important first step is generating theory. So without coding you can't generate a theory. And progressive means you read your document again, rethink whether my coding is okay, whether my categorization is okay. So you leave, you combine. Likewise, it's a iterative process. Then the theoretical staturations. Theoretical staturations means now you understand, when you do this coding and all that analysis further and further, you feel now data is enough. When you decide the data is enough, that's of course up to you. I can't decide whether data is enough for your research because you involved with the research. So thereby researcher decide whether the collection of data is enough. That point, that cutoff point is called theoretical saturations. Then other one is constant comparison. Other tool, when you analyze data, when you collect data continuously, I call it iterative process. What you have to do is you have to compare. You may compare coding and a code and another code. You may compare code and a concept. You may compare code and an indicator. You may compare concept and concepts. So you have to compare. The comparison is the important or significant one tool in grounded theory, comparison. So comparison karano, when you have to compare what one interviewer and the other one said. So you may compare. There are two statements. So thereby, you may by comparison you may try to identify the relationships and the differences. Now one example I will take. I would like to take. But comparison, you have to do unusual, interesting things. You have to identify to the compare. Otherwise, it's useless. So thereby, I think one paddy field research study, the farmers study accounting practices, one practice was that the farmer, the owner of the land is renting to farmers. So the original owner will get the rent, farmer will get the yield. Farmer does the cultivation and owner provide the land. So what is the return for the land owner? Normally we know the rent. Rent is the return. But in this case, they get 1/5 of harvest. So you give the land for this cultivation this season, and suppose the land is 1 acre, so you get 1/5. For example, suppose due to weather condition, if the yield harvest was very low, how you are going to pay the rent? If you paid the money, it's a different story. But how you are now, you don't have the harvest because just because of your water issue, maybe the climate issue, you didn't get the expected harvest. So how do you negotiate? So that harvest, the farmer and the landowner, the concept they use in negotiating in this issue is very important for us to when developer research. The comparison is always important. For example, what the union people says and what the core team of IT people says. So you have to compare. They might talk about the work item. Work item means the system generated work items. So what do you think about what the IT people, those who are really encourage this system, talk about work item, and what the union people, general employees, normal employees talking about work item? So when you take the user friendly of the system, how do the user friendly look at by the tax consultant and user friendly look at the taxpayers, and how user friendly is looked at by the what do you call this IT developers, software developers, and IT team and employees of the inland revenue. So you can compare these 2 3 concepts, and constant comparison will help you to develop a theory. Outcome of the grounded theory. So you produce concepts. Concept means coding. So you produce by open coding. The categories means you are just combining concepts. Once you combine the categories, you get the properties, and properties, then you will end up with hypothesis. Hypothesis will end up with the relationship. Then you develop the theory. So thereby outcome of the grounded theories: concepts, categories, properties, hypothesis, and theories. That is why this is called inductive. Grounded theory is an inductive approach. Inductive approach. From you start from concept to theory, not from theory to concept. But when you do quantitative research, you do the opposite way. You start with a theory. You start with the theory and you develop the hypothesis. Then you identify the different variables and you try to measure those variables, and you measure the variables and check the relationship. Okay. Process of outcome in grounded theory. Of course, research design. I explain what is theoretical sampling. Theoretical sampling means you are just, expanding your sampling, uh, including new respondents, recruiting new respondents to your sample so as to, increase the quality of your research data. So that is theoretical sampling. So you collect data, you code, then the concepts, constant comparison, you compare concepts, then the categorize, grouping, then the statute rate categories, likewise. Then the explain the hypothesis, theoretical sampling. Again, you may use theoretical sampling. Again, you expand the data, collect data. Again, statute rate categories, testing hypothesis, substantive theory, and finally you will form a theory. But to discuss this particular chart, it takes much more time, but I don't expect you to put more attention on this grounded theory because it's little bit, this theory is little bit advanced grounded theory. But basically what I want to communicate to is that the concept, categories, properties, hypothesis, and theory, those are the outcomes. These are the tools. Tools and outcomes are two different. Okay, when you do this grounded theory story, memos are important. Memos means short note. We call it reflective journals. When you analyze data, you may write something under different concepts. So thereby you may have many memos not written by researchers to themselves, like your short note. The notes written by researchers to themselves is called memos, helping to generate concepts and categories, remind of what terms mean, encourage reflective thinking about emerging ideas. When you read and read, you get new ideas, crystallize ideas, and keep researcher on track. So researcher has to be really uh, has to be he or she should not go he or she should not go out of his research idea. So he has to be live with the research. He or she has to be with the research idea and live with, and it has to be part of his or her life. That is the idea here. Bus industry study. This is a particular industry study. VVO code. The VVO means a particular software system they have used to code it, and you can study. You can look at this article if you want. Then the criticism of the ground. You know, any theory, any method, any methodology, it has its own weaknesses. Like researchers cannot suspend awareness of theories and concepts. අපට කොහොම කිව්වත් අපි දන්න theory අමතක කරලා යන්න බෑ. But in grounded theory, basically what you do is you have to forget about those. අපේ memory එක මත zero කරන්න බෑනේ. You can't make your memory zero, your awareness. So you may have certain theories in කොහේ හරි කොනක තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. So thereby one, that is one cannot suspend. Finding proposal require clear statements of aim theories. If you really do research on the grounded theory, your proposal has to be, you know, very attractive in terms of aims, theories, research question, etc. Time consuming. Make a lazy na. Make up lazy na. It's time consuming. Does not necessarily produce a theory. Usually specific explanations of substantive issues. Always not necessary to, you know, develop a theory, but you may explain the substantive issues or phenomena. Confuse use terms and concepts and categories, fragment data, loss of context and narrative flow, and competing accounts of what is involved. You know, huge data you will have, so competing accounts, so thereby, you know, analysis part is very challenging and difficult. If you interview 20 people, 60 people, you know, competing count of what is involved. එතන අපිට පුළුවන්කම තියෙන්න ඕන අදාළ ටික විතරක් අපේ රිසර්ච් එකට අදාළ ටික විතරක් අරමුණුට අනුව ගන්න. That's the idea. Anyway, that's consideration in developing codes. I think you can remember the coding is the one tool in grounded theory. When you use the coding, of what general category is this item of data and instance? General category. What does this item data represent? What is it represent? Maybe certain information may categorize as, for example, information seeking, under decision making, participatory budgeting. Likewise, under different, you know, items, different items may represent different perspective. What is the item of data about? What topic is the item data and instance? What questions about topic does this item data suggested? What sort of answers? What is happening here? What are people doing? what do people say they are doing, and what kind of event is ongoing. The meaning here is that, of course, when you do the coding may related to an activity or activities or concepts, differences, opinion, processes, whatever you think, you can do the coding. Coding is, of course, the process. Code is the results. So thereby, you can do the coding for any activity, whatever the activities taken place. Now, for example, when you look at that particular study, paddy farming, so there may be from starting to cultivation, starting to yield, harvesting point. So different activities are taking place. ඉස්සෙල්ලම ගොවි සංවිධානයක ගොවි මහත්තුරු ගිහලා රැස්වීම් තියෙනවා. කාලගුණය පිළිබඳ අවබෝධය ගන්නවා, වතුර පිළිබඳ අධ්‍යයනය කරනවා, පොහොර ලැබෙන ප්‍රමාණය ගන්නවා, මොන වී වර්ගයේද කියලා බලනවා. ඒ අනුව දේශගුණයට ගැලපෙන වී වර්ගය තෝරගන්නවා, කුඹරට යනවා, කුඹර සකස් කරනවා. නේද? You prepare the land, develop the land, ඊළඟට plant කරනවා නේද? ඊට පස්සේ අදාළ ස්ථානවලදී you just watering ඒ point වලදී you are doing the fertilizer, you are adding the fertilizer, then you look after the කෘමීන්ගෙන් බේර ගන්න look after කරනවා. So likewise there are different stages. ඒතර ඒ අතරතුර තව කොහේ හරි මැදක ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම් කාර්යාලයේ ගමේ කොහේ රැස්වීමක් තියෙනවා. ඒකෙදි මොනවා හරි data එනවා අපිට. ඒවට accounting data එනවා. So likewise there are different activities. So thereby ඒ activities ගැන කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් ගොවි මහත්තයෝ. ඒ activities ගැන කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් සංවර්ධන නිලධාරී. So you are just coding those answers or the data. Maybe process, opinions. දැන් උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් ඔබට පේනවා දැන් අපි එක ස්ටඩි එකක් කරනවා මේ මොකක්ද golden key එක අසමත් වීම පිළිබඳ. ඒතර golden key එක අසමත් වීම පිළිබඳ විවිධ පාර්ශ්වයන්ගේ opinion වැදගත් වෙනවා. legal side එකේ opinion මොනවද? ඒකට involve වෙලා හිටිය team එකේ opinion මොනවද? central bank එකේ opinion මොනවද? depositors ලගේ opinion මොනවද? COP committee එකක් තිබ්බනම් ඒක COP එකට හරි COPA එකට ගියා නම් what is the opinion of the COPA and the COP? පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ debate එකක් තිබ්බනම් මේක what is the opinion of the parliament members, and in general public, newspaper articles, journalists, what are their opinions? So you may look at the opinion. So thereby when you look at the coding, what to code, whether it is activity or whether it is opinions, whether it is experience, whether it is process, depends on your research questions. So thereby coding is applicable to that part. I think you understand the meaning of codes and coding. Steps and considering coding. Code as soon as possible. Once you collect the data, once you involve with the collection data, interview එක කර ගාම ටක් ගාලා transcribe කරලා you have to code එක මොකද අමතක වෙන්න ඉඩ තියෙනවා. Code as soon as possible. Read through your initial set of transcripts. නිතරම read කරන්න ඕන. අපි ගාව තියෙන documents ටික read. Do it again කියන්නේ ඒකයි. Reading is the අපි අර pattern අහුවෙනකම් දැන් මතු පිටින් බැලුවාම ඉන්ටර්විව් ඩේටා හරි පිස්සු වගේ. ඒවා ඇති දෙයක් නැහැ. එක එක්කෙනා එක කතානේ කියලා තියෙන්නේ. But to get the real meaning of those statements, you have to read it again. එතකොට තමයි pattern අහුවෙන්නේ. යුනියන් එක මෙන්න මෙහෙම දිගටම කියන්නේ. මේ එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් මිනිස්සු ටික මේ විදියට කියන්නේ. මේ අහිංසක යට ඉන්න සේවක ටික මෙන්න මෙහෙම කතාවක් කියලා. So you look at these three things. මේ තුන්වලම ගත්තාම once you compare what they are talking. අරගොල්ල අරම කියන මේගොල්ල මෙහෙම කියන මේගොල්ල මෙහෙම කියනවා. Three different views, three different statements, but is there any commonality? අර කුලක ගණන් වල වගේ අපි compare කරලා බලනවා මේ තුනේම පොදුම මොකද්ද? තුන් දෙනාම කර සමහරලාවට ආයතනයේ internal control weakness ගැන කතා කරන වෙන්න පුළුවන්. But looking at different perspective. තුන් දෙනාම ආයතනය corrupted කියන එක ගන්න කියන්න පුළුවන්. තුන් දෙනාම වක්‍රාකාරයෙන් කියන ආයතනයේ ඉන්න සේවකයෝ අල්ලස් ගන්නවායි කියලා. තුන් දෙනාම වක්‍රාකාරයෙන් කියනවා මේ ඒක නිසා work item ගොඩ ගැහෙනවායි කියලා. තුන් දෙනාම කියනවා IT system එක නිසා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ අනන්‍යතාවය නැති උනායි කියලා. So likewise, you look at the pattern. Consider more general theoretical ideas and relation to code and data. Here, relations. You look at the relations. Any one item slice of data can often should be coded in more than one way. එකම data එක විවිධ ආකාරයට you can code. Do not worry about generating what seems to be too many codes. කොච්චර codes ආවත් worry වෙන්න එපා. Data transcript code maybe you may 100 codes. Don't worry. වැඩක් නැතිව පස්සේ අයින් කළා දාන්න. Keeping coding is perspective, it is not analysis. Coding කරනවා කියන එක analysis එකක් නෙමෙයි. It's a perspective. You are looking at the data. The way you look at the data. Turning data fragments meaning can cut and paste code and retrieve, not just mechanical task of data management. Coding help to generate ideas and build theory. මේක ඇවිල්ලා මේ නිකන් සරල කාරණයක් නෙවෙයි මේ කෝඩින් නිසා තමයි අත්‍තරම අපට ideas generate වෙන්නේ build. ඒතර අපි ඔකට පේන ඇති අපි සුපර්වයිස් කරනවා. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ මාත් එක්ක data team එක හිටියා නම් මගේ supervision team එකේ හිටියා නම් අපි කොහොමද ඔයගොල්ලන්ට අහුම්කම් දෙන්නේ? අපි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට අහුම්කම් දීන කොහොමද research question එක මේ විදිහට වන්න ඕන කියලා කියන්නේ. That is kind of mental coding what we do. Turning data into fragments. Okay. යථාර්ථයට ගේනවා අපි ප්‍රශ්නය ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියන කාරණේ අපි මහ පොළේ පැල කරන්න උත්සාහ කරනවා fragment කියන එක. Okay, losing the context of what was said, extracting sections of data. මේ problem වල තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි අපි data වලින් summary නේ ගන්නෙ. එතකොට ඒකේ ඇතුලේ තියෙන සමහර කෑලි නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Losing the context එක නැති වෙනවා. Fragmentation of data, lost narrative flow. අර කාරණා ගොනු කරගෙන සමහර කතා කරන්න ගත්තාම හරි flow එක තියාගෙන ඉන්නේ මේක වුණා ඒ නිසා මේක වුණා. ඒතකොට තැනකින් ගත්තාම coding එකට you may lost the coding. Narrative analysis as solutions. මේකට හොඳ analysis එකක් හැටියට තමයි අපි narrative analysis. The risk only provide descriptive data etc. rather than theory. Then we'll come to the thematic analysis. One of the most common approach in qualitative data analysis, not an approach to analysis that has an identified heritage that has been outlined in terms of the distinctive cluster of techniques, framework, National Center for Social Research in UK, matrix-based method for ordering and synthesizing data. Thematic analysis, of course, you are looking at the pattern. The transcript you look at, you try to identify the pattern, and of course this thematic framework is given by the National Center for Social Research UK. For example, here using framework of Bryman's Disney study, ideological critique theme, the research theme, interview one, you will see here so plenty of black Americans. Ethnicity critique එක. මේක coding ගත්තම ethnicity critique, gender critique, national critique. එතකොට මේ coding එකේ අර්ථය ethnicity critique එකේදී කියන interview for so many black Americans in MK but few if any in that world showcase. කොච්චර American කාරෝ black Americans ලා හිටියා showcase වෙන්නේ හරිම සුළු ගණන්. Little mention of black history. එතකොට ethnic critique එක ඒක තමයි. American black Americans ලා කොච්චර හිටියත් මතුවලා තියෙන්නේ හරි චුට්ටක්. National critique එක දන්නවා world showcase only really representative of the developed world. ලෝකෙ මතුවෙන්නේ developed කටවල් වලින් එන කාරණේ. So you may think about the thematic analysis pattern. The ethnicity critic එකේ code එකේදී වෙන දේම තමයි මේ national critic එකේ වෙන්නේ. So one theme is that only powerful people will get showcase in the world. Black Americans are powerless. They are so එතකොට අපි මේකට interpretation කියනවා. Black Americans are powerless. Their voice is weak. Only few will get the chance to make a voice, but even that is not enough. Something like that. That is the thematic analysis. Narrative analysis, of course, stories, nature of human accounting, recounting of lives and events. අපි කියන්නේ අපේ interview එකට අනුව as per the respondent interview පළවෙනි එක්කෙනා මෙහෙම කිව්වා. සමහර අර paper articles තියෙන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැකලා ඇතිනේ interview කරන කවුරු හරි අන්න narrative analysis එක. යා කොහොම narratives ටික දානවා. But when you do the research, we don't put all the narratives, but we will quote important sentences, important statements which are supporting our research issue, which are supporting our research question. That is called narrative analysis. ඒක අපි inverted comma ඇතුලේ දාලා theory එක ගෙනල්ලා theory එකෙන් අපි පොඩ්ඩක් විශ්ලේෂණය කරනවා. ඒකට කියනවා narrative analysis. Narrative accounts produced in the interview data the source of themselves. Secondary analysis of qualitative data. So far we discussed the primary data. How do you get the primary data? You may interview people, maybe group of people, individual. You may look at, you may observe, etc. But secondary data means classic example is annual reports, archive data, maybe COPE reports, central bank reports, Auditor General reports, newspaper articles, any journal publications, any other publications, presidential commission reports, parliament Hansard. Those are called secondary data. Secondary analysis offers rich opportunity, not least because of tendency for qualitative researchers to generate large and unwise set of data means that much of material remain underexplored. අපි හිතනවා ඒක අපි අර කිව්වේ golden key එකේ තියෙනවා ලොකු secondary data තොගයක්. ඒතර අපේ ළමයේ ඒ golden key එකේ secondary data study කරන අපි ආට මේකට අපි interview කරන්න කිව්වේ නෑ මොකද එයාගේ අපේ දන්නවා undergraduate ලා තියෙන සීමිත කාලය නිසා ඒකේ limitation එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් එක. ඒ කෙසේ වෙතත් අපි කරන අපි secondary data analysis එකක් කරලා මේ golden key එකේ පිළිබඳ පොඩි ඒකට වෙච්ච දේ පිළිබඳ පොඩි මතයක් පොඩි අදහසක් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න තමයි හදන්නේ. ඒතර ඒකෙදී අපි ඔක්කොම secondary published data, even videos, even photographs, even other official reports we are going to use. But it may be hard to understand the original context. දැන් එතකොට පත්තරේ තියෙන එකයි නියම golden key එකේ යථා context එක අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. එතකොට පොඩි gap එකක් තියෙනවා. When you look at the documents, document is far away from the real context. That you have to understand. That is another weakness. There may be ethical issues in concerning participants' permissions. So ethical issues ගන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද අපි යාට කතා කරන්නේ නැතුව තමයි paper එක තියෙන එකක් කතා කරන්නේ. නේ? Ethical issues. We didn't talk to that guy relevant is people, but we talk about a secondary data which is appeared on a paper about him or her, about his organization or her organizations. Then this archival resource center established in 1994 can be useful. ලංකාවෙත් archival center එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකට ගියාම ලංකාවේ පරණ data ඕන එකක් විශේෂයෙන් සමාගම් වල annual reports any data මම හිතන්නේ ගන්න පුළුවන් මේ ලෝකේ තමයි quality data කියලා එකක් තියෙන. මේකට access ගන්න ඕන ඇති. මට ඇත්තට අත්දැකීමක් නැහැ මේකට access, but you may sometimes you have to pay to get the access. Anyway, I think that's about the session. So any question you have I can answer, otherwise we will stop sharing. Any question you want to answer? මම දන්නවා තේරුන්නේ නැහැ කියලා ඔක්කොටම. Ahmed. Anyway, very difficult to understand this because if you are not living in qualitative data, difficult to understand. Anyway, you should understand the basic technical matters, grounded theory. And one example for grounded theory is institutional theory. You may learn institutional theory. Institution theory, IT can institutional theory is one classic example for grounded theory. Anything uh, you want me to add? Or if not, shall we finish it off? Okay, thank you very much. I will end up the session. Thank you.